Dusty, great to see you.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here. One of my favorite towns of all time.
Yeah, you were saying that. What is it about Seattle that you particularly love being here?
Just the water meets the mountains. We have mountains to the west, mountains to the east. I've been all over, Olympic Peninsula. I've been all up in the Cascades, and the freshness of the seafood and fruit here.
I ran into Ralph Garr yesterday on the streets, and he said that he gonna be here. If Dusty here, he gonna stay a few extra days. And y'all gonna link up. Did y'all hit up a nice restaurant yesterday?
No, not yet. We got in last night about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I was beat. I mean,
yeah,
because I was trying not to get into the All-Star festivities too soon, because I was trying to beat the Mariners. I told my team finish strong, and I didn't want to be distracted. It didn't work, but you got to try. And now I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
Dusty, you've been at the All-Star festivities for quite some time now. It feels like you've seen it all, but 31 international players. What does that say to our game, and what it means to just everybody across the world in baseball?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I think not only great for America, it's great for the world. It brings people together. And I was watching the draft last night, and I was watching that young man, Indian descent.
Arjun Nimala.
Yeah, and my son's best friend is Nush Patel, and so I was like, man, this is really getting international now, and I think it's great. It motivates kids, it motivates our country to try to promote diversity as much as possible.
It's a great story with Arjun, because you're right. India's a country of 1.4 billion, and to be the first player of Indian descent, hopefully the majors, the Blue Jays, is really, really cool. I'm often curious, Dusty, it's such a fun event, and yet a little stressful sometimes for the managers, right? You're trying to work different guys in, get relievers in. How do you kind of manage the expectations and keep all the guys happy?
Well, it's not as pressurized as it once was, I think. Now it's become more of an exhibition game, but back a couple years ago when it counted on it's going to have World Series implications on who's a home team. Now that was pressure. And then when I managed my first one in Chicago, 2003, and I was just come off with the Giants. And, there's pressure there too, because people are like, you got to win the game, but you got to try to play guys, play everybody. But then I played everybody. And then lost, and they're like, well, you shouldn't have played everybody. You should have went for the win. And so, I hate guys that have to come for miles and miles around and don't get to play.
Especially with so many first-timers. It's a lot of guys. There's some veteran all-star guys here, but you have a lot of first-timers that are here that you were here last year, but they weren't able to hear whatever your speech was to the team last year. What's that message to those first-time guys this year?
Well, I don't know. I haven't come up with it yet. I'll make up something. It'll probably be on. Yeah, you'll know that.
Candid. I need 20 dogs. Yeah, the other 5 lead the way. They'll eventually come with me. Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. But see, the thing about it, I'll probably tell them, hey, man, I was a first-time All-Star too, and it's a tremendous honor for your parents, your schools, your principals, your ministers, everybody that had something to do with you growing up and getting into that position. And now you have a little bit more pressure to try to be a good citizen as well as be a star, so you can motivate other guys that are coming up behind you and girls that are coming up behind you.
Dusty, fun question, man. You got Acuna, you got Mookie, you got Adolis, Rosarena. What guy kind of similarities as a ball player from your end, like a guy that you said, man, that guy reminds me of me when I played?
I don't know, those guys are better than me.
You said, man, I want to, or maybe a guy.
I wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but hey, those some bad dudes over. Let me look on this list. I never even thought about, who
like a guy that you can say, man, wow.
Yeah.
Your skill set matches up with someone like that.
It does.
Yeah. Power and speed. Rosarena.
Maybe Rosarena.
Yeah. Is that the guy that you're kind of most looking forward to watching? Or getting to know?
I've seen him. I've seen him. I've seen him a little bit too much, to tell you the truth. But when I look at, depends on what stage of my career I was in. Younger, I was more like a Julio. I wasn't quite as strong as Julio. You know what I mean? Because this guy's strong.
Yeah.
And but later I was more of a hitter than a speed guy. Because when I first came up, I was speed and relative power. And then as I got older, I lost my speed, hurt my knees, and gained more power.
Speaking of stages of your career, as you continue to add on those years after years after years behind that managerial belt. Do you find yourself appreciating these moments even more now than in the past?
Yeah, well, actually, I appreciate it when I get here. Prior to getting here, you're like, well, okay, I could be fishing, I could be doing this or that, but when I get here, man, I get the same feeling as if I was a kid. Because, see, I never made all-star teams. I made all-star teams in football, football, basketball, a couple in track, I swam. But I never made it in baseball. And I was always an alternate from the time I was in Little League. And I was like, why am I always an alternate? And I made my first big league team, my first all-star game in the big leagues. Most guys have probably their 10th time making an all-star team. Right. But I made my first one, 1981, of my whole career, whole life, with the Dodgers in 1981. So that meant a whole bunch to me.
The high five, baby.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom line is this: not everybody may have been cheering for the Houston Astros, but everybody was cheering for Dusty Baker, World Series winning manager. Great to see you, Skip.
Thank you, man.